Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Karen. I love my guest today. In fact, we were supposed to start this like a half an hour ago, and we couldn't stop talking because that's how we are. And before we get to my guest, first of all, it's October 15th, and we're taping this in September. I hope to see you all Halloween weekend at Zany's in Rosemont, and then actually Halloween night, the 31st, in Zany's downtown Chicago. A couple of other things. If you are hearing this tonight, the 15th, I am at in Phoenix, Arizona at Stir Crazy tonight and tomorrow night, the 15th and the 16th. I love this club. Please come out and see me in Arizona. Also, next month, November, sign up for my email list if you haven't. It's at karenrontowski.com. You go to contact, there'll be a place. Couple of things. First of all, I'm off Facebook and Twitter. It was too, for whatever reason, people get happy when their team, someone from the other team dies. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. But in November, I'm starting a Patreon. Right now, I'm doing it only for 3 months, but it's going to be all tarot and psychic stuff. I don't have the whole format out yet, but we'll be doing tarot exercises. I think it's $25 a month, 3 months, not bad. But sign up for my email list. It will all be in there. And I think that's it. So let's get to my guest, Monique. How are you? From the Homewrecker podcast.
Hello, Karen. Thank you. I am wonderful. Thank you so much. I have to say a couple of things first.
Okay.
I love your introduction. It's like, hi, everybody. It's so wonderful. You have such great energy. And every time I listen to your show, and I'm like, I love it. I appreciate you and your positivity and just your cheerfulness. So thank you for that.
Well, I do love my guests. And even when if I'm too tired, like to do a podcast, the minute I hit record, I feel like, oh, I love this. I love this.
Yes, I'm the same way with my podcast, and sometimes it's just you're so tired, you work so hard during the day, you finally get some time carved out, and then it's like just start, and it's just fun.
Oh, and you reminded me of something.
What?
I on Libsyn, how my podcast goes up, there's a map where you can see how many downloads went where. And it's like there's one in I think one person in the Ukraine listens to me. It's like people in Iceland, like 6 people. There's like, it's so interesting. And folks, if you're anybody that listens to me in any of those foreign countries, just send me a hello or send me a tale of an urban legend from your area, because I just get so excited, because I'm talking about this on another podcast. But there's a website called Astro Travel, or it's called astro.com, and you can put in Astro Travel, and it tells you from your astrology where you're supposed to live. Any big surprise, I'm supposed to live in the Middle East. That's why I love Middle Eastern men. But for those of you that are all over that listen, please just send me a hello at karenrontowski@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you, Monique. Now about you. You're so kind.
Oh, well, I appreciate you.
So you do the Homewrecker podcast, which I love. And now you have expanded. You're a tarot reader, and now you have expanded. And it was so funny because you contacted me when I had an exact personal experience about what we're talking about. So tell everyone what you're doing.
So I am a certified hypnotherapist. Yay. I worked really hard. I put in hundreds of hours.
Wow.
A lot of practicing, a lot of reading, a lot of learning. And basically how that happened was Alex, my husband and co-host of the Homewrecker podcast, he and I were watching a documentary one night called Flip Side, a journey into the afterlife. And basically what it was a documentary about this guy, Michael Newton. And he was a hypnotherapist, and he would work with people. And as he did, they started going into past life regressions. And from those past life regressions, they would also go into the life between lives. So basically where we go after we die. Wow. And I'm watching this documentary, and, I grew up, I was raised Catholic, and I never felt connected to that religion. I always, when I was a kid, like I felt like I was reincarnated. Like I talked about like, oh, this happened to me in a past life. And then watching that documentary, it just fit. And it felt like this is how I feel inside about what feels like my beliefs and what I feel is correct with everything in the world. You know what I mean? It was like, it just fit. And hearing about how hypnotherapy can help people. And I was like, I've been waiting for my true calling. Like, I know I'm a healer, but this is it.
That's the modality.
Yeah. And so I started doing research. I was like, Michael Newton, he has an institute. So I looked up his institute, and you have to be practicing for 2 years because they teach life between lives there. So you have to be practicing for 2 years. You have to have done, I believe it's over 20 past life regressions. And so I was like, and you need to, I think, be certified. And so I was like, okay, well, how do I start doing this? So through that website, I found my mentor, Mark Johnson from Good Vibes Hypnosis, and I enrolled in his class, and it took months to get in because of you have to wait for the next class to be available. But I was doing all this reading beforehand to get ready, and I did the classes. It was to get your certification, it's 220 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, what's funny, and this is why it's almost perfect right now, is first of all, I'm sure as a sensitive, like, you know, like it's all on now. It's all on now. And people, there's rarely a day where I go through my readings and I don't know someone that I call it a sensitivity upgrade. And for me, I've had the same thing. I've had things like my automatic writing is almost direct communication now. There's no like lally-gragging around. And so and this is why this fits perfect when you're talking about past lives, because I was always someone that was like, I get it. Yeah, past lives. And I always had this funny story about how 2 psychics told me I was in a circus in a past life, and then one didn't believe in past lives and told me I should work in the circus. So that all kind of fit and was kind of a funny story. But I swear, I think you contacted me the day after this happened. I was in a healing session, and the person said, go back to your bedroom when you were a kid. She said, what age are you thinking? And I said, 13. And she said, go back to your bedroom and tell me about it. And I was like, oh, this is not my bedroom. And it was, Monique, it was so clear. And she was like, whose bedroom is this? And I was like, well, there's no electricity. I can tell you that. A whole past life was revealed that covers almost every relationship issue I have. And it's almost hard for me to talk about it because I still feel the shame from that life. But now when you say past life, and I know a lot of my clients have called and said, do you know anybody that specializes in past lives? Now I get it. In fact, I'll be going to you because I have to find out more about this because it's crazy.
Oh my gosh. And I'll tell you about my very first past life regression that I had because, oh my gosh, and it taught me a lot. But yeah, so with these regressions, it's like it comes to you. It's like the information comes to you when you need it most. There's what's called spontaneous past life regression, and that happened to me while I was hypnotizing somebody.
What?
We were doing a Gestalt therapy, which is basically where you get a chance to essentially say your piece to somebody, and then we'll reverse the roles and say, okay, now be them. How do you respond? And we go back and forth.
Oh, I hate that one. I hate that one.
But we were doing it, and so, and actually this person, I also helped with the spirit attachment removal, but, which you can do in hypnosis as well. But so we're doing this Gestalt, and before that, while we were getting to the safe place, she was like, there's a Native American man, and now it's a woman. Okay, it's a man. It kept going back and forth. And this man, and she'd see a black crow, and cause sometimes things flash in and out. Mm-hmm. And she's like, he's telling me it was something with her relationship issues, and essentially that, you were hurt, and that's why you kind of built up that wall, and he was helping her heal. And then, what had happened was we were doing this Gestalt, and then after she had finished that, boom, she was in a past life. And she essentially was, I don't know if it was Canada for sure, but it seemed kind of like Canada in the mountains. She was a man, very burly. And he was, and the man she was in love with a Native American woman, and they were traveling together, and she ended up being murdered. And he was so upset. He was just enraged. And the information, that came out, it's just incredible. But then we realized in that safe place in the Gestalt where these things were coming up, these flashes, and then these pieces coming out, boom, we were there and it all made sense. That is why there was pain. And with past lives, sometimes the pain we experience carries over to this life. For some reason, sometimes we make contracts. I will never love another person again.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I will never. Or sometimes things are just so traumatic, it just stays. And what we can do with hypnotherapy is go into those past lives and we can leave it there.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about mine because I think so I was a 13-year-old girl, and obviously I lived in the home of a rich man that wasn't my father. My father was an employee, and that man was having sex with me. And so were other men. And I mistook that for love and didn't understand what was going on. And then I saw the rest of my life where I was alone. I had a child taken from me, which I don't like kids now. I don't know if that child turned on me or what. I don't want kids. I don't like older men. I like younger men. I always no, I'm going to die alone, or you know what I mean? Like that, and also it's a weird, why I always think whoever I'm with they're just with me till they get that better person that they're going to stay with, which would have been this man's wife. But the more, it was Jessica and Oscar who was doing the healing that we just stumbled upon this. And because I kept saying, but I liked being with him. And she used the word collusion, which now that word has been unfolding everywhere for me, what that means. But when you get it and all the pieces come together, it's almost unbelievable how it fits. Like you said, I must have made all these contracts and not this and not that. So if it was me and I came to you, what happens next, with that life?
So if you're in that life, what I would do is you can go back and forth. You can go earlier. You can go, I might say go to where you were happiest doing what you normally did. Something you enjoy doing all the time. We want to go to some happy things too. Go to the most profound experience you had, something let's go to a time where you were with somebody who you saw as a teacher. And we'll go throughout the life because that's how we gain information about it. That's how we can kind of glean what we're looking for. And then once we get all that information, we go to the death scene. Now, you can be a third-party observer. You don't have to be in your body during the regression. And it all depends. Everyone dies differently. But once you leave your body, I start asking questions. Are you above, where are you in position to where your body is? Are you above it, behind it, in front of it, somewhere else? Because you have to be very careful. You can't lead. So I might say, are you inside or outside? I have to give options because if I say, who are you with? Your mind might say, oh, I'm supposed to be with somebody. Okay, who's here? And try to create that. So you have to be very careful. So we go through these things and then I'll start asking questions about how do you feel now? And then from there, what lessons have you learned? Did you do everything you were supposed to do in this life? We start asking questions. Did you make any contracts? And if contracts were made, that's when we say, okay, well, we want to break this contract because it doesn't help you in your future lives. And we work on doing that. And then I'll ask, is there anything that happened here that is affecting you in your current life? And if that is, we're going to leave that here. And we work on leaving that there.
You know, I have to say this too to anybody that's doubting this right now, because I might have doubted this a
Hmm.
couple months ago, but now I wouldn't doubt it ever because how fast and clear answers came to me once I was there.
It's just like, boom, you know. One thing I will say is I tell this to people because people say, well, is it really real? I don't know. I like to think it is because that's just the feeling I have inside. But whether it's real or it's just the way your subconscious is processing information, the
It
fact
works.
remains it helps heal people. It works. So regardless, believe, like I just tell people, you know, that's on you to decide because you're the only one who can determine if it's real or not for yourself.
I totally agree. And it really, that's what I almost exactly what I thought when it happened too was like, I don't know if I'm crazy, but it helped. It helped explain and it helps me undo. And it actually, you know, because I'm on the dating apps a lot. I don't go out a lot, but I meet a lot of people, and everybody knows on the dating apps, you don't always get to go out, but you talk to a lot of people and you kind of match and something. But I looked at my apps and all these guys, and it was very interesting because, of course, as always, the universe throws you one that goes, "Are you sure you want to grow?" They throw you that one. "Are you sure? Because this one's really handsome. Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure." But all of a sudden, almost all the people I matched with, the attraction was gone. Because it helped that fast. It changed it that fast. And I was like, wow, I'm in the wrong place here. I got to find the right place, whatever that means, you know?
Wow. Yeah. It's so, and I've heard from my mentor, hearing stories about there was a woman who was just suffering with this terrible neck pain and the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. She went into a past life. She discovered she was beheaded. So they worked through it and basically, left everything there. Her neck pain never came back.
Okay. Oh, that's such a great topic.
Yeah. It's, I want to share my first personal past life regression story because it's kind of funny and a little scary, but I'm not trying to scare people.
Awesome. Well, let me take a break and then we'll come right back as a perfect place to start and then we'll talk about our moles or pains or stuff like that. Cause I have actually an interesting theory on that too. So, all right, folks, hang on 1 second. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's the 15th of October. You can see me today and tomorrow at Stir Crazy in Arizona. I love this club. Come out and see me. Get tickets at stircrazycomedyclub.com. The 28th through the 30th, I will be in the Chicago area at Zany's Rosemont. Come see me then or on the 31st at Zany's downtown. This is it. This is my huge Halloween weekend. I'm going to be doing tarot. I'm going to be doing the fairy story. It's my big Halloween weekend at Zany's. Please come out and get tickets at zanys.com. Also, in November, my life finally slows down. And I was like, well, that can't happen. There can't be a month without anxiety or worry. So I started a Patreon. That's right. You'll probably be able to sign up for it November 1st. It's going to be learning tarot. It's going to be learning mediumship. It's going to be doing exercises. It's going to be breakout rooms where you get to read for other people. It's just going to be me teaching and learning with you. I'm going to have on all kinds of teachers and readers to talk about their process. So sign up for my email at karenrontowski.com. That will let you know when the Patreon is coming out and all the details. Now back to the show. Okay, tell me your story.
Okay, so I'm in class and because I went to school for hypnotherapy, but then I also went for additional certification in past life regression.
So this happened in class?
In class. This was the first time I got regressed to a past life. And so my friend is bringing me to that life and I get into it. At first, it's really dark. And sometimes when I am in hypnosis, I'm very visual, so I can see things pretty good. This was dark and I'm like, okay. And I see fire and I feel really confused. And then I notice, I'm like, there's fire. I'm on fire.
Oh.
And so I started having what's called an abreaction, an abnormal reaction where I was hyperventilating. Now in my mind, I knew I'm not on fire right now, but it was like I was channeling that, like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I was like, I feel so angry. And I didn't know what was going on. And the woman hypnotizing me was like, do you want to go to your safe place? Because we like to send people to a nice, comfortable, safe place before we begin. And I'm like, no. I was like, I want to thinking, I want to figure out what's going on. So she brings me to another point in my life. And what I had discovered was I was a healer. I worked with plants and I used plant medicine and I used my hands to heal people. And I didn't live with my aunt, but my aunt lived in the same village. And this was like the early 1600s. And my aunt's name was Sarah, who I immediately recognized as my mother. And so, because when you're in hypnosis, especially like past life and life between lives, you recognize people and it's not like you see them and you're like, oh, it's you because they look different. It's like that energy, you just feel them and you know it's them. And yeah, so I'm moving throughout the life. So what had happened, like I would heal people and everyone liked it. They appreciated it, but nobody would say anything because it was very taboo because you weren't supposed to do that. And what had happened was I'm in my little home and there's a knock on my door pounding. And there's this big gentleman, not really a gentleman, a big man. His name is John. And he starts yelling at me that what did I do to his son? I shouldn't be touching his son and like going off on me. And I stood up for myself and I was just like, you need to leave. I don't need to listen to you, and trying to shoo him off. And he started attacking me. He beat me to a pulp. I mean, so what had happened was he beat me ferociously. Then he went outside my home and set it on fire from the outside. So when I was coming in, my death scene was when I was coming to, and I was feeling his anger. That anger I felt was his rage. And so what that taught me was when I bring someone in a past life regression, I tell them to go to the happiest point of that life. Just so we don't end up in a situation like that.
That makes perfect sense. God, that's so fascinating. And what is kind of funny is it also relates to, because I think I'm quite a bit older than you, but we are in the crystal children. We're crystal children, right?
Yeah.
And the crystal children were the ones that were supposed to come back and blaze the kind of the warriors that were like, hey, your religion is wrong and we're going to, and then you have the indigos, which are more sensitive. And then you have the star children, which is really sensitive. But we were the ones that were supposed to come back and be like, hey, everybody out of the way. We're getting ready to be spiritual again. And
we're the path clears.
Yes. And that's exactly like, of course you would come back like that. Of course you would come back clearing the path this time.
Yeah. It was really cool because some of the stuff I learned about that life was, even though I was proud of what I did move a lot because I was fearful because I didn't want something like that to happen. Mm-hmm. And it kind of taught me, like, be your authentic self, because it will, like, if you're running in fear, it will catch up to you.
Yeah.
Just be you.
Yeah. It's really interesting where we're coming to, and actually the state of the country right now with being split and everyone, anyways, I'm going to get off that. So, do you find, and I don't know if this is hogwash or it fits, but where they say you have a mole where you were shot, or even like the woman that was beheaded. Do you find when people come into this life, maybe even with a disability of some sort? Because this is very interesting. Because in fact, you and I were talking about hypnosis earlier for stress, and almost like you can be hypnotized for anything. Because I have always, the one mantra I always say is, I have the immune system of a small Viking army. And you're not, and even when I get sick, I think that, and I'm never as sick. I don't know that I've ever been to the hospital, knock on wood or whatever. So I literally think I have hypnotized myself into good health. And if the life about the circus is true, I can't tell if I was a tarot reader or if I worked on the high wire or both. Because I have that, even at 56, I have that athletic body that never gives in. that can go hours and work out and run and then do it the next day. And I always thought this whole health and this athletic thing I brought in with me.
And that's very possible. I feel like there are things, and I wonder, maybe it's something with a contract. It could be something, a contract you made, that this is, I will always be, I will always be like this or something. It's very possible. When you mention like the moles, I have heard stories where people do have marks on their body, birthmarks, where they just so happen to get shot, or you know what I mean? Like something happened. So absolutely. One thing that you mentioned in terms of like hypnotherapy can help with everything. It really can. You can manage pain. I'll share a story. My brother got really, really sick recently, and he was in so much pain. It was his stomach, and he couldn't hold down food. He lost, my brother's a big guy. He's like 6'4". He lost 25 pounds in a matter of weeks. Wow. And he was just in so much pain. So I was over his house taking care of him, and I was like, can I hypnotize you? Because you have to be willing. You have to be willing and you have to be ready, or it won't work. And he said yes. So what I did was I brought him into hypnosis, and then I had him just imagine, it was like, do you know the movie Interspace with Martin Short and Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan? So we watched it as a kid. So I was like, think of Interspace, where you can get really tiny and go inside your body. I had him look at his stomach, and he saw all this dark tar-like stuff, and it smelled really bad. And I was like, what does your body need? And he's like, I just have this white light. I'm like, okay, touch the white light. And he touched the white light, and I asked him, how do you feel? And he's like, I feel really good. I'm like, this feeling is accessible to you whenever you need it. And I gave him what's called an anchor, where I had him put his finger and his thumb together and take a deep breath. And anytime you do that, you'll feel just as good as you do now. And so that helped get him through until he got a diagnosis of what was going on. And it turned out that he had something that was causing essentially what he saw in his stomach, that nastiness,
wow.
A type of infection. But that's why I wanted to get into hypnotherapy, because I just want to help people. And ironically, my brother is a big one that I felt I can help him with so much by doing this. And that was one of the things I was able to help him with, was help with his pain. And it meant so much to me that I got to do that. I could do that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And by the way, folks, and Monique is going to lead us through a little hypnosis at the end, a little gift for everybody.
Yes.
Now, so 2 questions right off the bat. I actually know someone I think I need to buy a session for, because also women do childbirth in hypnosis, don't they?
Yes, they can.
That has to be the hardest.
I don't know, because, so when I had my kids, my last 2, I had the first one, I got the epidural, which didn't even work. And then my other 2, I had totally natural. And it wasn't so bad, but I'm going to share a little bit here. So if you're squeamish, you don't want to hear about it, just turn the volume down for a moment. But my placenta wouldn't come out. And so the first one, I swear, I willed it out. I told myself it's going to come out, because they wanted to give me drugs. And I was like, no. So I willed it out. And so the last one. Did you say
your placenta? I think it cut it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, because it cut out for a second. Okay, so you willed your placenta out. Got it. Okay.
Yes. So with my third child, it wouldn't come out. And I think I was just so tired. And so I had to have it manually removed, where the doctor had to like go inside and like scrape it out with her hand.
And that's supposed to be so painful. The worst.
It hurt. But I look at it like maybe I should have had a leather strap to bite on. But it's kind of like you get in that mental attitude, which is kind of like hypnosis of, I can do this. I can do this.
Right.
I can get through this no matter what. And because you believe it, and that's with hypnosis, you believe it, you trust the information, and you believe it. And that's why it works.
Wow. And so now if someone goes back, this is probably why you have to know what you're doing, is because if someone goes back and they skip a life lesson, or they just go, that's it, and you don't fix it, can it almost be more detrimental, like make the problem worse?
Yeah, I've heard stories where somebody didn't do it the right way, and it actually caused more problems. So they needed to go back into hypnosis to have it done. I've also heard stories of some hypnotherapists putting a block in so that person cannot work with any other hypnotherapist. So
What?
yeah. And so it's really scary because anyone can perform hypnosis, but it's what you do when you get in that really matters. And that's why you want to go to somebody who's qualified, who has been doing it, who, I recommend being certified, and I'm sure there's wonderful people who are not, but you just want to make sure that they have the work and the qualifications behind them, because it can be a little scary. And again, we're doing this to help people. And I've heard about people, they're in it for the money. And when, like, you found somebody who works from their heart center, that is the person, because they care. And I actually say, if you question if what you're doing is right there tells you care, because you want to do what's right.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing that you said, anyone can hypnotize someone. In fact, this is really weird, but I have a very traumatic memory. Didn't even happen to me. But I was working at a club in Canada, and a hypnotist, he was very young. He was doing the shows earlier in the week, or on Mondays or Tuesdays or something. And, a hypnotist show, when people are under, can be unbelievably embarrassing, like horribly embarrassing. Not like I walked around like a chicken. Like, he was making women do stuff that it was like, I think it sort of gave me a bad, these dirty hypnotists that think there's no boundaries. It was really bad. There's actually a great hypnotist called Flip Worley that doesn't embarrass people and is fantastic. Haven't seen him in years. But it's interesting that you say anyone can hypnotize someone, because I feel like there is not only it's probably part of an alien agenda or something weird like draconians or something, but also when I'm seeing these people that are going nuts on airplanes, that is something else. That, like, there was the woman, they had to duct tape her to the seat. And there was another woman that, they were trying to carry her off, and she was just yelling. And it's not even like people having mental breakdowns, because I think we all had, I think I had a really good shutdown. I actually had some really great things happen, but there's an awful lot of PTSD from the COVID shutdown. And I'm watching these people, and here's another thing that was very interesting that nobody's mentioning. But these people are almost under someone else's control when they're yelling like that. No one who wasn't drinking, there's no airline, no alcohol in most airlines now, and they had to duct tape her down to the seat. I feel like that person was under someone else's control. I don't think make sense.
I haven't heard about it because we don't watch the news. We don't have cable.
Oh,
so, but I will say, I personally think a lot of that stuff is fake. I think it's put out there in the media to cause division. But with hypnosis, like I said before, you need to be willing, which is why so you have to participate. And I'll share a story to prove, like, it's not really to prove it, but like, what you're doing when you're under hypnosis. You're in total control. So I'm going to share a story about something that was kind of traumatic when it happened to me, but I've learned from it and I can laugh at it now. I was hypnotizing somebody, and I did a consult, and it was like when I was just like working to get like credits, for my certification. And I did a consult with him, and I got just a really bad feeling. But I thought, nope, it's my job to make sure I can help this person and find the right induction for them and be able to help them. And what had happened was, when I did his session, he wouldn't listen to me. He kept moving around. He wasn't following instructions. And he moved to his bed, and his shirt was off, and he had a blanket over his lap. And so he was moving his hand, but it's kind of at the corner of my screen because I do my appointments via Zoom. And it looked like, I'm like, is he rubbing himself? I'm like, no.
Can't be.
Better not be. No. And I'm like, but it's one of those like furry blankets that feels furry. And I thought maybe it's like a stress coping because like sometimes people like to touch, like you pet a cat or a dog, it's a comforting feeling. And I thought, okay, maybe that's what he's doing. So as we're going forward in the session, all of a sudden the blanket rises. I go, oh, fuck no. Oh. And the blanket falls. And so I immediately emerged him because I was like, if that's what I think it is, this is done. Like I'm saying to myself.
Right.
And so I immediately emerged him and I was like, that is extremely disrespectful. I do not deserve to be treated like that. I will not tolerate it. And we are no longer working together. This is done. Click, end session. And so like, I was just like, because I get personally, like I get in a meditative state, like I open my energy to connect with people. I work with crystals. I'll do Reiki. I, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, I got my certification. I'm a certified Reiki master practitioner.
Right.
So I work that into hypnotherapy if people want it. But it's like, I'm kind of a little vulnerable as well. And I was just so like, and the best part was when that happened, the first thought in my mind was, I am a married woman. How dare you? Yeah. So, and I was just like so embarrassed and like upset that he would try to violate my marriage. Like these are the thoughts in my mind. And so oh, go on.
Well, I was going to, no, you go on. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, but I thought about it. I was speaking to my friend who's a hypnotherapist and she was like, well, you got a bad vibe from him. So why didn't you just say you didn't want to work with him? And I was like, because I thought that, part of being a good hypnotherapist is when, people are difficult to work with, like, trying to get them
through. Yeah.
induced. Yeah. Like you have to work to find what works for them. And she's like, but you got a bad feeling. That right there should have told you. I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I was like, this is my lesson. I didn't listen to my gut. So this is what happened. It was like the universe was saying, Monique, you need to listen to your gut. We tried to show you like, hey, but you didn't listen. So this is what happened. So it just was like, okay. And now I can laugh about it. But it was one of those things where at first it was like not good. But then I was like, okay. Because I like to do that. What's my lesson?
Yeah.
This horrible thing happened. What's my lesson?
It's just life. And, but someone could plant the idea that no other hypnotist could work with them, like someone that was negative. But so the person that's hypnotized could overcome that if they decided against it, right?
I mean, yeah, you can, but sometimes people don't realize it's there and they don't realize it. If you're aware, you can, like, if somebody's saying something, you say, no, I'm not doing that. But like this guy, he knew what he was doing. And looking back, it was a control thing because he showed up both times eating. I was like, I'll wait till you're done. You can sign back on when you're done eating. And he wouldn't listen. I was like, you need to get comfortable. You'd sit in like a meditative pose, like yoga pose. I was like, no, you need to like sit down because in hypnosis, once you're hypnotized, your body kind of sinks in and your head can go back. You need to have head support. You need to be comfortable. And he kept moving around. And then looking back, hindsight 2020, it was like, this was his way of trying to control the situation.
That's interesting. That was almost identical to what happened, why I don't do a video anymore when I'm reading tarot, where the readings are better with just audio. But I had a woman who was in her car and it was too hot and her phone's overheating and she's moving around and she starts out with, I don't really believe in this stuff, but someone told me to call you. So it was this big mess where I was like, no more video, anyone. Well, you know what's interesting on the airplane one? That lady that they had tie her hands down, they didn't show you this on the news. They made everybody for an hour until that flight was over have their hands over their head.
What?
So that the flight attendants could see everyone's hands.
Oh, hell no. I'd be like, fuck this.
I know, but I was like, what is that? What is going, something that,
it's control.
This is probably.
This is all about control.
It is, or it's a MK Ultra or something different, because I am telling you, I look at these people and my brain is, because I know when, especially when the cast of Lions, what's that movie? They have the Broadway cast, just came on the plane singing. They just came on the plane singing. I'm like, those people do not want to sing those songs every night and then walk around singing them on airplanes.
I'm gonna share something with you too. So in my reading, there is an amazing book. It's Mysticism and Hypnotism of India. And it's basically about a hypnotherapist who traveled to India. He traveled like all over the world studying hypnosis. And one thing he talks about in the book is crowd hypnosis. And what happens is people...
hold that thought because we're at a break, but this sounds exactly what I want to hear. Okay, hold on a second. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, you having trouble with your kitty or your pooch or your penguin or your Neanderthal boyfriend? Either way, animal communicator Sonia King is to the rescue. You guys have heard Sonia on the podcast. She is one of my best friends. She has helped me out with Courage, aka the boss, so much. She has helped me when he was sick. She has helped me when he doesn't like his food. Sometimes he just pops in to tell her he's been very busy. That's the relationship they have. But whatever your relationship is with your little buddy or pal, Sonia can help you to understand what's going on. Whether there's an issue, you don't know if they're sick, they're acting funny, or they might just want to say hello. You might want to find their purpose in your life, or just wonder why they bite the mailman. But either way, Sonia King is your lady. You want to book a reading with her at soniaking.com. And that is just as easy as it sounds. SONYAKING. SoniaKing.com. Book a reading with her and find out what your little ones are thinking. Okay, go ahead. Crowd hypnosis. Okay.
So there will be people who think a certain way, have certain beliefs, certain feelings, and they'll be out and there's a big group of people and all of us who, they might be thinking or feel the opposite way this person feels, but all of a sudden they're caught up in it. And now they're angry about something that they never cared about before. And it's a part of crowd hypnosis. It's basically like where under these certain circumstances, you get kind of caught up in what's going on. And even though you're not normally like that, all of a sudden it's like a switch and you don't realize what's going on.
Wow. I think it's very interesting because I feel like, especially as a comedian, my instinct is anarchy every time. It really is. Once the crowd starts, I'm against it. And that's instinctual. Like, I think I was born like that. Like, even my parents would be like, yes, you were. But
we are rebels.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people like that, but I totally get what you're saying. So in other words, the woman that was tied to the seat was made to hypnotize, was like the foil, and they wanted to scare everybody else.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is trying to induce fear. And so you get people worked up. All you need. So, there's like an Indian Hindu fakir trick where basically they do these smaller magic tricks to get people believing to do a bigger one that's an illusion. And all they need are people to volunteer. And then the people inside, the fakir will do, he'll start chanting and he'll start swaying his body. And then you can see the people in the circle who want to see the illusion. They're swaying their body. And it's like you're getting into this trance and all of a sudden you're seeing what they want you to see. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Wow. That makes so much sense to me. And I was watching something where they said, it's like what you were saying about asking questions, where someone goes, like if I want you to go a certain way, I can say, hey, Monique, what do you think about this hair color? Everyone else has said it looks good. And then you kind of go, the person in their mind kind of goes, well, it does look good, especially if everyone thinks that, you know what I mean? So that it's always, they're doing this on the news all the time, which is why you don't watch it and why I have it off now almost all the time. And Twitter, the same thing, the lies by sarcasm or whatever. And
think about movies. You suspend your disbelief if you go watch the Avengers, right? So you can enjoy it. You're kind of being hypnotized there.
Yeah.
TV, movies, music, it hypnotizes you. It invokes a feeling.
Music
And through that
especially, yeah.
feeling, yes.
You know, that's how somebody was just saying that you also get the vibration of the singer. And it's amazing because all of a sudden I really like Dolly Parton. And I'm like, yeah, of course. She's got that positive, thing. And when I'm in a sad mood, I want, somebody else. I want to hear something else. So, all right. So you have all these hours of hypnosis. You have that horrible guy that's just what women are going to have to put up with forever, right? Which is amazing. It's an amazing, that's a weird fetish or whatever that was.
Oh my gosh. It was crazy. It was a lesson.
Yes.
I'll take it as that.
I know. So now, do you ever or have you ever run into somebody that runs into alien abduction or something like you were talking about between the lives? That's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So my friend Carlene, she is a hypnotherapist as well. Ironically, she lived in the same city as me, like I believe her whole life. And we met in our hypnotherapy class. She moved to Idaho like 3 months before class started. And we met after she moved to Idaho, yet she lived in my city. Wow. That whole time before, and we didn't even know it. And we're really good friends now. And we are actually doing a monthly webinar called Mystical Meetups, where we talk about really cool different hypnotherapy stuff. So in October, we're talking about spirit attachments and ghosts in hypnotherapy. I'm not sure what we're going to do for November, but it's the second Tuesday of the month. So you can sign up if you go to my website. The links will be there. But so Carlene actually dealt with an alien attachment.
Wow. And yeah. Can we watch past ones, or they're gone when they're gone?
I believe that time is not linear. And think about quantum healing. I think things that happen now can affect the past, and they can affect the future, just like going to a past life can affect you now. Mm-hmm. And so I think anything that happens can affect us at any point in time.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant, can we watch? I wondered where you were going with that. Can we, like, if you and your friend do one and you do it the second week of October, and this comes out the third week of October, can people go back?
Sorry. I thought you were talking about the alien abduction.
No, I was like, wow, she really is serious about not letting people see the rerun of the video.
No, we don't record it just because we like to answer questions for people. We're trying to be respectful. Somebody they might not want that shared. So that's okay. We're doing plenty more. We do it every month.
Okay. Because that sounds like such a great topic. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted your story.
No, that's okay. But so she was dealing with a man who she was able to hypnotize him, but these aliens were stopping her and they were trying to stop her. And it was just very interesting. I don't want to get too into it because it was somebody's personal story, but it was one of those things where they were causing a block and they didn't want information to go through. And that's where we start talking about, is it an attachment causing this? Is it a fracture of the mind? Because that is something where they'll have like another personality come out. And it's on us to realize, is this an attachment? Or is it a fracture of the mind? Because a lot of times, especially children who are traumatized, what happens during the trauma while it's happening, they kind of check out, they go somewhere else so they don't have to be present while it's going on. Well, what usually happens sometimes is another part of that personality sort of steps in to try to protect them. Mm-hmm. And that protective part, or whatever part that kind of takes over, will come through. And so that is something you need to merge, make them complete again. But if it's a spirit attachment, you want to help them go to the light. So you have to be very careful, because you don't want to merge an attachment into somebody.
Right. And you don't want to send a fraction of someone to the light.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But most attachments will talk about what's going on. And if you dig enough, they'll start to share who they are, what happened, why they're there, why they're doing the things they're doing.
Interesting. What is the reason that they're there or doing what they're doing? Is it the old, I was a drug addict and she's a drug addict, or is it like, is it something evil that literally would say to you, I just need her energy or his energy?
Sometimes it's different things. Sometimes it's just when people pass, they're not ready to go. And so they try to attach to people and they cling on to their energy. My mentor shared a story about a woman who basically there's an attachment. And what she realized is she was a little girl and this man had passed and he just found her and attached to her. And he felt like he had to protect her. But what was happening was, especially as like she would go to school and learn, he was very hard on her. So she had this like mentality of like, what I do isn't good enough. And it was his influence being like, you can do better. And he thought he was helping her.
He was my father. Wow. That, that makes perfect sense. It really does. To where, I mean, it makes so much sense. All right. So have you ever had a tricky attachment that wasn't human?
So my friend who had an attachment, it was basically her ex's attachment, and it was somewhat affecting her. And while she was there with her boyfriend, like weird stuff would happen and she'd get like weird feelings. What she had found out was it was a female attachment, very negative, very dark, and did not like her and would try to cause problems. And there are negative attachments. They cause people to do drugs. They cause people to not act like themselves because they're putting their influence on them because they're negative.
Okay.
And again, when we pass, we're supposed to learn and go to the light, but sometimes people don't, they can't. Most people are like, oh, wow, this is great. Yeah, I don't know what I was so upset. Yeah, I don't know what I was so upset about. But some people don't. They hold on to things. And that's something that I work with people. I do a lot of inner healing. And we work on forgiveness because what I learned is not forgiving somebody is like drinking poison and expecting that other person to die. And by forgiving somebody, it doesn't mean you condone what they did. It doesn't make it right. It means that you're releasing that pain from your heart and your mind so you can move on. It's not about them, really. It's about you. You're forgiving them so you can move on. So that's something that I like to promote as well with inner healing.
Okay, so I have a very strange story for you, and then we'll get to the hypnosis.
Okay.
So, and this has happened twice. Not that I am, I don't think I have any attachments, but not that I'm attachment free all the time. But obviously we're in a healing business, which draws people to us. And I have one person who I've talked about on the podcast who isn't allowed in my apartment anymore because the place went bananas because she had an attachment that I don't know. I can't even tell you to make it, but it messed up my apartment and whatever things are here with me that we get along with, that they were so upset that I had to just go, all right, that person is never coming over. Can we quiet down now? The place got quiet.
Wow.
Because I asked my animal communicator friend, I said, what just happened? And she asked Courage, and he said, it was as though what was on this person went through your closet, was going through drawers. It would be like if people had walked into your house and just started going through everything. And everything that's usually there was like, what was that about? So that was very interesting. And I live in a really crazy haunted place, but it's really quiet now. Everything has calmed down now. But also my astrologer friend said, it's just you. You are made of paranormal activity. So.
Well, one thing to think about that. Sorry, I keep hitting buttons on my phone.
That's okay.
One thing to think about with that is spirits obviously have boundary issues because if they're attaching to other people. Obviously, they're not going to pick up on boundaries, and think, oh, I shouldn't be walking around going through these things. They want to check it out. Is this better here? Do I want to stay here instead?
What does this smell like? What does she eat for? Yeah, let's go through.
Oh, she makes bread. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that makes so much sense. So I was dating this guy, and he had served in Afghanistan. and he had been shot, and there was a lot of really dark stuff there. And I wanted to get him on the show because he had a particular interaction with a jinn that was fascinating, but he's gone now. So at the end of our first date, he turns around and says to me, this is a great date. This is a great date. Okay. And he says, "Are you really who you say you are?" And I was like, "What?" And he said, at certain points, your face looked like it was morphing back and forth. Okay. Which immediately sends me later to like, there's nothing on me, right? So there's 50 Reiki masters checking me and whatever. And I still don't think that was me. He said, I said, "What?" And he said, "Trick of the light," right? And I said, yes, I think that's what it was. But I think he still has a jinn on him or something that, again, I am a threat to that.
I was going to question, is it not you but him? Is it something on him causing that?
Because he was, in fact, he sort of twice now, and this is the second time, he just disappeared, which there's a part of me that knows this poor guy has PTSD like nobody's business, which is actually like, it's kind of like, "Oh, Karen, so you're ready to get close to someone? Really? Then why did you pick someone with PTSD and a jinn that's going away?" So, and I think it's done now, but he was very nice. There was a lot of great stuff about this, but I still think that it was his attachment that was like, "Don't go there. I was a threat to his attachment somehow, whether that's just what I do or my light or whatever, or it just didn't like me. But that was I thought that thing was trying to scare him.
Oh, I'm sure. And also, one thing, so I've done a lot of reading about spirit attachments, and there's so many people out there who say, "And a spirit can attach to you at any time." It's like fear porn. Like some of the stuff these people say, it's so like, somebody could die near you and they can attach to you. Or, you could be walking down the street and a spirit could attach to you. If you meditate or when you sleep or whatever, it can attach to you. And it makes you sound like you're always vulnerable. But the thing that in my experience, I've come across is when their vibration starts getting low. People who are dealing with things like PTSD, a lot of stress, drinking a lot, things that are like, they're not in a very good mental place. That is where it's easy for them to attach, because somebody like you or I, we're confident in ourselves and we have that light inside of us and it shines. And if anything tries to get in our space, we bust it out with our light. It knows, like, I can't get near them. Go on.
I was going to say, this is my story that I will, I hate when I repeat my stories to people on my podcast. You guys are so patient with the old lady that can't remember, but I will tell this story willingly every time. Was the one time I was in a space with a real, I don't even hate to say it, but real demonic force. And it took over everybody in the room but me at that time, because I remember my tarot teacher saying, "They will take your mind." And my mantra, for some reason in my mind, was, "I am Karen Rontowski and I know exactly who I am. I'm Karen Rontowski. I know exactly who I am." And that mantra, I think, has more power. And if people find themselves in scary situations, I tell them, that's all you have, do that. I know who I am. No one needs taking my mind. I know who I am. So, but I think that was I hope everybody remember that story if you're ever, I do it if I get scared at night. But now
I was going to say one thing that I do offer, it's called your inner light / fear of failure. I wrote this for people who are afraid of failure, but as I was writing it, it's basically to show people their inner spark inside, and they nurture it, and it grows, and they care for it, and they grow it into this big beacon of light. So wherever there's fear, they shine that light in the dark corners to show either there's nothing there, or if there's something there, they can be prepared for it. They don't have to be afraid. And as you were saying that, it just made me think of that, because I actually did it for my middle child who's little, who had a nightmare. And one of the things I do, my anchor, put your hand over your chest anytime you need to feel that light. And that is something that I just made up. Like, I was just working on something and it just came out. And I was like, this is awesome. So that is something, yes, we all have the inner light. We got to shine it. And if you need help, contact me. We can work together. But, use your inner light and shine it and imagine it's so bright, busting out past your body, busting like a mile out, so bright, pushing anything less than negative out of the way. It can't get near you.
Wow. And also, so before we do the hypnosis, which anybody who's driving, don't.
Yes, I was going to start getting into the little don't be driving, operating heavy machinery.
Yes. Before we get started, tell everyone more about what you can offer them for services and how they find you. And it'll all be in the show notes, but in case we haven't hit on anything that you're really good at, helping people with.
Thank you. So you can find me at my website. It's called Understandings Hypnosis. INNERSTANDINGS hypnosis.com. I call it Understandings Hypnosis because we don't stand beneath others to take information. We take it and we hold it within ourselves. So that's how we got the name, how I got the name Understandings Hypnosis. You can find me on Twitter at Monique PCHT. And I'm really into spiritual hypnotherapy, and that's accessing your guides, your higher self, the divine, gaining divine wisdom. That's something I love to do. I love anything with inner healing. I do offer inner child work. I have an inner child session, and I also created an inner child too, where we're more focused on play and just having fun. If you're interested in quitting smoking, losing weight, there's so much that hypnotherapy has to offer, and it's more of a naturopathic way to heal and improve oneself, breaking bad habits, stress, anxiety.
That. Excellent.
All that good stuff.
All right. So now, shall we?
Yes. All right. So before we begin, I just want to make sure anybody who doesn't want to participate, you can just fast forward or pause it, whatever you want to do.
Or I'll just say thank you to you right now. You can end it now. Thank you.
There we go. And thank you. I want to make sure you need to be ready and willing. You want to be somewhere comfortable where you're not going to be distracted if possible. You definitely don't want to be driving or operating heavy machinery. You need to be somewhere where it's quiet and you can be undisturbed and you can just focus on yourself, because ultimately hypnotherapy is really self-care. And we all deserve a little time for self-care. So that's what we're going to do. And it's going to be a really quick self-care moment for us. So once you're ready and willing, and Karen, are you ready and willing to be hypnotized?
I am ready and willing to be hypnotized.
All right. So I just want you to take a big, deep, cleansing breath. And as you exhale, just release any negativity, any stress, any anxiety, anything less than positive. Let it out with each exhale. And now take another long, slow, deep breath. And when you exhale, just release anything left over that's less than positive. Let it all out. Now, I want you to close your eyes and just imagine me placing one single drop of relaxation on your forehead. And from this one single drop of relaxation, you feel it spreading across your forehead, spreading down past your eyes, down your nose and your cheeks, relaxing your cheeks. This relaxation is just spreading down your jaw, loosening your jaw and your mouth. And this relaxation from this one drop is spreading across the top of your head, down the sides of your head, down the back of your head, into your neck, And in your neck, this relaxation starts to flow all the way down your spine. And as this relaxation flows down your spine, it sends waves of relaxation across your back, all the way across your lower back, your middle back, and your upper back into your shoulders, and through your shoulders down your arms, down, down, down past your elbows, into your forearms and your wrists, your hands, all the way to the tips of your fingers. And it feels so good. Feeling that relaxation flowing through you, all just from one little drop. And as it goes down your neck and down your throat into your chest, it goes down, down, down your ribs and your abdomen, all the way around the waist, all the way around the waist, all the way around the waist, down, down, down. Feel it go down, down your legs, down into your knees. This relaxation feels so good as it goes down your calves and your shins into your ankles, going all the way into your feet to the tips of your toes. And you feel so good. And you notice the more you relax, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the more you relax. So feeling this lovely relaxation, feeling good and calm and wonderful, I just want you to take a big, deep breath. And as you exhale, allow yourself to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, I want you to imagine the most beautiful place in the world. And it can be somewhere you've been to before, or somewhere you want to go to, or it could be a place you make up completely in your mind. It could be somewhere like the mountains, or a forest, or a valley, or maybe a beach, a river, or a stream or lake. Anywhere you find beautiful, peaceful, comfortable, calming, serene, safe, and secure. Because this is your safe place. And can you find a place like this? If you can't, give yourself just another moment. Make sure you feel good. Tap into that feeling. Feeling good, happy, relaxed, safe. And once you find that place, just notice how it feels to be there. And I want you to know you can access this feeling anytime. Anytime you want to feel the way you do now, you can. Just think of your safe place. It doesn't matter anything else going on. You can focus on tasks you need to do. Just think of your safe place, and that feeling will return to you instantly. Calming, relaxing, safe and secure. That safe place is with you all the time. It's available to you 24/7. Just think of your safe place and you will feel exactly as you do right now. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And when I get to 5, your eyes will open, feeling alert, relaxed, refreshed, invigorated, and full of energy. Number 1, returning to your body and awareness once again, feeling good and relaxed. 2, knowing you can return to your safe place anytime you want just by thinking about it. 3, you feel good, mentally good, physically good, emotionally calm and serene. 4, your eyes are sparkling clear like they've been bathed in fresh, cool spring water. And on the next number now, eyes open, feeling alert, aware, refreshed and relaxed and full of energy. 5, open your eyes, take a deep breath and stretch.
Whoo!
How do you feel?
That felt great. I think I went under immediately. And I usually don't. And I don't know if that's just the time and space or if like it's been that it's been great listening to your voice all this time on the podcast that it almost immediately put me under. It was very weird because I had such energetic, like not only notions, and I'll tell you this little thing and then I'll let you go. Oh my God, I've had you here so long over the night.
Oh, I love it. I love this.
And in fact, I want to try something. I'm going to ask you something off. Yeah. But you know, so I finally am working on my mediumship, and everyone has always said, you're more of a medium than anything. Like once you get over that block, that's going to be your thing. And whenever I get relaxed like that, a spirit shows up that I'm thinking someday I'm going to be able to go, that's who I'm supposed to be talking to. Like immediately you relaxed me, and like a man showed up that I think was a spirit. Like I think that door is opening slowly. So that was fascinating.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Yes. But, all right. Oh, Monique, I love talking to you. This is so fantastic. So everyone, book a session. The website is in the show notes, and tell us one more time,
Innerstandingshypnosis.com.
Innerstandingshypnosis.com. Thank you. And listen to the Home Wrecker podcast. I love it.
Thank you.
All right, my dear. Thank you. And everybody at home, thanks for listening. I bet you this is going to have 1 million repeats because we're all going to listen to that every morning. And thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. And everybody, I'll see you next week. Have a happy weekend.